In this position, after g4, h6, queen d2, Topalov played b4. Typical move, of course. Now, when black can push knight from c3 in most of Sicilian lines, it's good. And it's very often the key idea for both sides. White is trying to play g4, g5 to push knight from f6. Black is trying to play b5, b4, b7, b5, b4 to push the knight from c3. It's all about fighting for the center. So knights from c3 and f6, they are playing a key role in controlling the central squares d5 and e4. And since d6, d5 is a very important breakthrough for black, so pushing knight from c3 might consider to be an achievement. But if knight goes on a4, it looks that black is way behind in development and pawn on b4 is hanging. And here Topalov came up with brand new concept: knight bd7, castle, and knight e5. This position was played a few times before, and Movsesian tried it twice in Budapest against Almasi, and after d5, e takes e5, and then bishop c followed by bishop c4 was under terrible attack, and eventually survived only because of the Almasi's indecisive play. After Leko, he tried queen a5 and went even worse: b3, d5, e5, and the pawn here cannot be taken because the knight takes e6 and bishop b6. So, and the queen is trapped. Also typical trick for white in this line. But knight e5, it was Topalov's new concept, because knight now here is just putting white's pawn structure under pressure, and bishop is ready to go on d7, attacking this knight on a4. Kramnik took on b4. That's the first time the line was played in Vikhanzé 2005, and after bishop d7, the game quickly ended in Topalov's favor. So he won in few more moves. That's probably one of the worst disaster that Kramnik ever faced with white pieces. I think that white game can be improved. There were few attempts, but even if white survives, that's not what they want. And later on in Linares 2005, Vichy played already b3. He beat Topalov in Linares. Then there was another game played later that year. It was a draw. But since it was all happening after my retirement, I let you to analyze these games. I think that black has excellent counter chances, and it's probably recognized by the fact that white is now refraining from playing g4 and going back to queen d2. So if you remember that we already discussed it, so that's if now black is trying to play knight bd7 and to go to the best construction with knight on b6 and knight from f6 going to d7, then white has a4 idea: knight bd7, g4, knight b6, a4. That was discussed. First, we remember it was played by Vichy against me, and then he improved it in another rapid chess game, and then I suffered against Leko, and few more games played by this line proved that it's not that easy for black. So that's why here black tried again the same plan, b4. But obviously the situation is not as promising, because now without moves g4 and h6, the same construction with knight on e5 is no longer so dangerous for white, because there are no more problems related to this weakness on f3. With this solid pawn structure, white can expect doing much better, because its position in the center will not be hanging. Knight a4 is still the best move. Also knight c2 was tried, and after e5, knight b3. Both knight c6 leads to a good position, and was played in games like Kramnik Topalov, Morozevich Grishuk, and Swidler Topalov in Sofia 2006. But also a5 is an interesting move. Actually, this is position I analyzed some time ago. Even before the idea was with b5 before was at the front line, and that was played by Gelfand against Anand in the Torino Olympiad. A4, d5, and rook a5. Nice. It's unusual but nice. I always like such moves that just prove that chess as a game is unlimited, because you can always find some brand new ideas in typical positions that were played many times before. Knight a4, as we know, that's a way for white to play for an advantage. So you have to go there. Now knight b d7, and then white have to think. Naturally, castle was tried first, and after d5, that's what Topalov played against Leko in St. Louis. e d5, knight d5, bishop c4. Leko lost the game, but Leko probably didn't like to sacrifice any material without clear consequences, and missed few really good chances. But it was proven later that after bishop b7, rook he1, black position is extremely dangerous. So you can look at these lines and recognize that this is the last thing that black won. So eventually black had to reject d5 as a very unsafe option. Again, just look at this position after bishop c4, knight 7 f6, bishop g5, that's another, or bishop b7, rook he1. White has an ideal construction for English attack. Now, sacrifice on e6 is just a matter of time. Queen a5 was another move. b3, bishop b7, a3, and queen c7. So sacrificing the pawn, a before d5. White had quite good practical results. It's after c4, d4, king b2, or f4. After f4, for instance, Ponomarev beat Grishuk, but position was quite terrible for white. After king b2, Motolyov beat Cheparinov, but again, that's not the result of the bad opening for black. So black didn't have much reasons to complain after queen a5, b3, bishop b7, and a3, queen c7. So white had to improve. Another try after b4 and knight b7 was bishop c4, and Gelfand tried against Leko, queen c7, bishop b3, bishop b7, and here again Leko decided against sacrificing on e6, which in my view would give him a good material, three pawns for the piece, and a very strong initiative. After castle, the game ended up in the draw. But in the next game, when Leko tried it, obviously hoping for bishop e6, Grishuk played knight e5, and before white had a chance to sacrifice a piece, Grishuk sacrificed an exchange, and as you could see, received very good position. Now knight on a4 is cut from the game, and it ended up with a draw, but black has an upper hand. If castle and bishop c4 is not working, then there is another natural option, c4. Looks very positional, but as we know now, before white played g4, it hasn't burned all the bridges, and it could try some positional stuff. So after c4, black has to take on c3, because otherwise he has no chances to organize d5. And knight c3, white knight is back. Bishop b7, bishop e2, d5, just trying to equalize immediately by breaking through in the center. But due to some weaknesses on black's queen side, white has chances to develop an initiative. Also, black has to develop its bishop and castle, and it's not as easy. For instance, rook c1 is quite a subtle move played by Morozevich against Grishuk, and queen b8 a3, and then suddenly white has two bishops and small but solid advantage, stable advantage. Castle was played by Vichy against Topalov, and queen b8, knight f5, and black has to find a way to develop its pieces, because simply exchanging queens with this trick queen takes e3 leads to a very unpleasant endgame. So Topalov played bishop b4, and now black has to find a way of castling, because the king is in the center, and Vichy went for winning a pawn, but black had some decent counter chances, and even after b3 knight e5, Topalov gained initiative and eventually won the game. Quite a nice game. Queen a4 was much stronger, but after rook c7 there's still quite solid compensation. Queen a4 is better, because now with this pin, black king still has a problem, and after rook takes b2, rook ac1, king e7, rook a1, that's dangerous. You don't have to be a very strong player to recognize this dangerous, and in the recent game in 2006, black didn't survive for long. And if queen b6, then rook c1, a5, bishop c4, and again black still has certain problems to solve. I mean, that's one of the lines that I could show as a demonstration of dangers that black is facing. So if we try to summarize the current situation in the English attack, in the current status of this opening theory, it seems that white has a lot of options, and neither plans with normal development like bishop b7, knight bd7, nor immediate b4 guarantees black full equality. But I think this line will be developed further. There are too many options that yet to be found, and I think that while this program is recorded, many games are being played, and I will not be surprised if, when you have a chance to watch it, certain evaluations might be challenged both by the leading players in the top tournaments and also by other players. For instance, in the freestyle tournaments, where many traditional evaluations have been challenged and successfully refuted. But while we already looked at the traditional ways to confront bishop e3 line, we're playing either e7, e5 at move 6 or e7, e6. Then there is another line, another option which gained popularity when problems with e6 and e5 were discovered. It's highly unusual. It's typical for the modern chess, when black is sometimes trying to play against conventional rules, and it starts with an immediate attempt to harass this bishop on e3. 6, knight, g4. It's a next chapter, and it's also full of surprises and exciting, interesting ideas.